I'm no longer going to be recording here. This whole background scene or whatever, we will see it no more. And I felt like this would be a good opportunity to, you know, maybe share a few stories and talk about, share a little bit of my life story, I think, with you guys before I move from this place that has been my home for the last 5 years. And I kind of wanted to, I was talking to a friend of the show last week, and we've talked a lot about his life, and he made a statement kind of like he doesn't really know much about mine. I don't really, I may talk about a lot of esoteric, philosophical, spiritual, or meditative ideas here, but I don't really go into, it seems I don't really go into my actual story so much. So I figured this might be a good opportunity to do it. This is the end of an era for me. This is the end of my time here in this space, living with Melissa and Eli. And I figured I could just talk a little bit about what brought me into this situation, what the situation has been like, and what to expect moving forward. Although I don't know much about expectations, but I guess maybe how I'm positioned as I move forward. But I guess I'll just start with, leading up to this, moving into this house with Melissa. I was a rapper, and I was part of a rap group called Self Will Run. And me and my partner, P. Wade, Patrick, we had made 2 albums over the course of 2 years. And we were planning to release our second album. We were planning an album release party at Center Stage in Atlanta. And then COVID hit. And so we ended up releasing that album. We mailed it out to everybody and put it up on the internet for free. And it's called Hope. That's the name of the album. And when COVID hit, this was 2020. So when COVID hit, and everything shut down, it was like I was given permission to exist as I was with myself for the first time in a long time. It was all the meetings I was going to, because I don't know if you're new to the channel, I'm a recovery guy. I've been involved in a 12-step fellowship and 12-step programs since before 2013, but I got sober in 2013. And leading up to COVID, I was actively trying to find a community or a fellowship or a place that I felt like comfortable in. And I never felt comfortable anywhere I went. I was pretty much scared and anxious all the time. I found myself driving all over town trying to find, a fellowship or meetings or a place where I could feel like I could just be okay. I didn't know how to be okay, basically. And then COVID hit. And all that stuff stopped, and I was left at a house I was living. I was living in a small room at my buddy Stefan's house, and it was me, him, and one other roommate. Patrick was living with us, and it's just all of a sudden it was like all these ideas, all these things I thought I needed to do or I was doing up until that point, were no longer possible to do. And I was able to sit in the backyard and just exist. And I hadn't known how to give myself permission to relax. I hadn't known how to give myself permission to just be. And so COVID created that opportunity for me. And I kid you not, like it was one of the best times of my life, just sitting in the backyard at Stefan's house, reading Mystic Path to Cosmic Power, writing stuff, talking to myself, like I'm doing now, jogging, just doing whatever I felt like doing. I think I was doing a lot of Super Mario Kaizo at the time. I was playing these really difficult Mario levels and streaming, and I started going to Zoom meetings, and that was really fun because it was like I could go whenever I wanted and meet all these different people. And, Stefan asked me to, mention something interesting about our experience living together. And One of the things that I practiced during that time was I used to get really annoyed with them. I used to get annoyed with the people in the house. I would get annoyed with Patrick. I would just get pissy. And then one day I woke up and realized, I said, what if, and this is an interesting concept that I think anybody could try, but I woke up one day and was like, what if everyone in my life, everyone that appears in my awareness is appearing for my own best interest? What if the thoughts that are being shared, the suggestions, the influence of all the people and all the things in my life were there to support and serve me in my own growth? Like they had my best interests at heart. What if that's what life was? And I woke up that day and I pretended that's what was happening. And I had like one of the best days ever. All of a sudden, the things Stefan had, that I used to get annoyed with him saying, I started seeing they were just really helpful and valuable. His insight, his perspective. And then I saw him in a different light. Like at that point, I'd always kind of viewed him as a little brother kind of a situation. And then I saw like, oh, wow, this guy's actually way more adult than me. And the way he thinks and what he's sharing is helpful. And it was like that with all sorts of things. And I saw that life seems to have an intelligence about itself that is only prevented, that only gets prevented by my own limited perspective. So that little experiment that day like worked wonders. And anyway, I just did experiments and weird stuff like that all the time, sitting on the backyard. I ended up meeting a close friend of mine named Peter through just like some Zoom meeting I started with my buddy Reed. And me and Melissa were, on and off again up until that point. And then we were on, like I went and drove her from Boston to Portland. She moved to Portland to do her first like vet residency. And I helped her. Well, I can't say I helped her pack up her house. I sat there and pretended to be on my phone while all the movers packed up her house. And I'm not proud of this, by the way. And then I drove the U-Haul across the country. That was the best. That 3-week period of driving the U-Haul from Boston to Portland in 2020 was was the most fun experience I think I've ever had. There's others that are coming to mind now that I say that, like me and Suede when we got on the radio in 107.9 Atlanta, and we won a hip hop competition live on the radio. And then we went to Waffle House afterwards in the middle of the city, and it felt like we were the kings of the city. That's another good memory. But I would say for depth, length of enjoyment, and the fact that it opened a portal to a life that I get to lead or live today that I never would have imagined was possible. It's got to be I gotta give it to Mel in the 3 weeks in the U-Haul. That was bad. We went through the Badlands, South Dakota. We saw the Mount Rushmore. We saw the Crazy Horse. So yeah, got her to Portland. But I'm still in this active state of self-involvement. That's the best way I can describe what my life was like before I really started engaging with Peter. I was in a world of my own making. My mind was completely filled with dreams of what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do, how I would live, what I would create. And while this is going on, I was also actively developing a social network called Shared Space. And that had been in active development for a while, but it really picked up after, we released the second album. The world gets shut down, and I call up Big Chris, which was the main, I don't like using the word main investor. He was the main investor, but he was a friend, and he believed in what we were doing, and more than just an investor. But he really did allow this project to take shape. And I called him and I was like, let's focus in on this and really get this. Let's see if we can't push this a little further out, get it out in the world. I mean, it seems like it's the perfect time. Everyone's stuck in their houses and we're all going, it seems like everyone's going crazy, but me. Like, why am I the happiest I've ever been, but everyone around me is miserable? So anyway, so Shared Space was still in development, but everything in my life at that point was just, I lived in my head and I moved through the world as a means of accomplishing the goals and the dreams that I had visioned for myself and had solidified him in my own mind as being of utmost importance. And I ended up meeting with Peter because of an incident that happened. I'd already met him, and we were talking occasionally. And the fun thing about Peter is, this is a friend of mine. He's been on the show. You guys might have seen him. He's a golfer. He's got his channel. His channel is Crooney's Corner. If you're going to watch him, he's a pro golfer. But the thing about Peter was, I remember meeting him outside of a 12-step meeting, like in 2014, 2015. He came to my home group, and he was standing outside, and I remember him standing. I remember what he was wearing. I can visualize it, but I don't know shit about clothes or cars. So I remember what he was wearing, and he looked very well-to-do, nice jacket. He looked like James Dean. He looked like too cool for school. And he's standing there, he's got his kind of collar popped up. He's smoking a cigarette. He's just got a very stern demeanor about him. And I remember seeing him and thinking, I'm never going to fuck with this guy. Like, there's no way, there's no way this is my type of person to interact with. Because normally when I was at my meeting, I was always greeting people or saying hello to people. And I said hello to Peter, and the way he responded, it was just so direct and so in the pocket of him. I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, oh, well, I guess this guy's not my type, and didn't think about it. I don't think I saw him again. I might have saw him randomly at meetings around town, but never gave it much thought. And come to find out that today he is one of, there's 4 people in my life. He's one of those guys. He's closest confidant in my life. Which I think is interesting is I kind of see that time and time again. When I notice that I don't like someone off the bat, that to me, that's like a signal, like, oh, that could potentially mean something it could prove to be the opposite. There's something in me that actively resists things that actually would help it, if that makes sense. So anyway, I end up having this incident while living at Stefan's house during COVID, where I was driving home from work or somewhere. I was still working at the warehouse, and I got pulled over for an expired tag. And come to find out that I had been driving on a suspended license. The tag had been expired. I never renewed it. I didn't go register my car. And so the police officer arrested me, and I spent the night in jail. And I bailed myself out, and I got out of jail, and I came home back to that Stefan's house, to that tiny small room in his house. I'm kind of a big guy. I'm 6'3". I told recruiters I was 6'4", but I'm 6'3" and something. And the room was like just a little bit bigger than this one. And I come back there, and I just crash. I just fall asleep on the bed, and I wake up, and it's like a beautiful day, and I like look at my body, I look at my surroundings. I get up, I sit on the next to my bed where my chair was. I'm looking out the window, and I realized that every decision I'd ever made in my entire life has led me here. Sober, just got arrested, living in a tiny house, no real opportunities in front of me. Like, there was things I was working on, but this sense of dissatisfaction, this sense of anxiety, and I just realized, like, I don't have anything to really call my own. Like, everything that I thought was important really only existed in my own head, but my reality was I hadn't built or anything in my life, really. And I saw that it was because of me. It was the way I thought. It was the decisions I'd made, and this is what my life was. I think I was 30. I'm 36 now, so I must have been 32 or 30. Yeah, probably 32, 31. No, wait, I'm 38 now. So maybe I was 32. Yeah, I was probably 32. And I called Peter. In that moment, and I said, hey man, like, I am deeply dissatisfied with the way that I am. I'm not responsible in any way, shape, or form. Something so simple and so easy, an adult responsibility of just renewing a tag, I didn't have the ability to do. And there's a step one is recognition that you're powerless over alcohol and your life is unmanageable. I realized I was powerless over my thinking, powerless over my ability to make decisions. And I couldn't manage my life, obviously. So I called him. I was like, man, I think I need your help. I don't know what to do. And he said, let's meet up. And I ended up meeting up with him every week for about 6 months. I would it started with, I went to his office and we did like a vision board. And then I started going over to his house on Wednesdays. I used to do a podcast. I still do it. This is a podcast. I've always done a podcast, but it was like, there was a series I did with him basically. When I would get ideas and I'd want to talk to people, I just used the podcast as an excuse to do that. And so I used the podcast as a mechanism to continue my own exploration and my own sense of how to learn responsibility. Really, I was meeting with Peter because I needed to know how to believe in God. I needed to know how to work with God. I needed to know how to surrender my will and my life over to the care of this power. I didn't know how to do it. And I was 7 years sober at the time, 8 years sober, but Peter did know how to do it. And so I used the podcast as basically as just like a tool or an excuse to get over to his apartment every week and ask him questions. And we recorded it. And all those are available online on the Inside the Mind's Eye. You can listen to all of them. And they're great. It's great stuff. It was the first time I had actually met with somebody who had an experience similar to mine, an effacement, kind of complete disintegration of the will, the ego, a complete surrender, like a recognition of complete powerlessness. I had never actually encountered someone who had a experientially mystical experience at that level where you saw that you can't drive anymore, that your life is no longer your business and you're willing to turn over the keys. And Phil and Peter had that experience. And also Peter was very insightful with meditative and spiritual things like esoteric wisdoms. But he wasn't in the weeds with it. It was all experiential for him. It was all lived. It wasn't conceptual. And so he was basically my guru for like 6 months. I would just go over and ask questions and we would sit, all those things are recorded. And eventually I would go with him on Wednesdays. We would always go to hot yoga and then we would do a talk at his apartment and I would record it and then publish it. And through the course of that time, me and Melissa had been broken up and we ended up meeting each other on an online meeting again. And, we haven't been able to stay away from each other ever since we met each other all those years ago, 12 years ago or whatever, however long ago it was. And we were talking about taking a trip to Thailand. And she called me one day or texted me while I was with Peter. We were doing a podcast and she texted me. We had planned the trip to Thailand. We were going to go. And she texted me and she was like, I don't think this Thailand trip is a good idea. I'm just going to get my hopes up again. And it'll just be too painful when it's over, is basically what she said. And I think it was like the first time I like actively made, not the first time, it was one of the few times I've actively made an adult decision. There's a lot of times where I've gotten I've done damage to myself by trying to think for other people. But with that message, I saw very clearly like this, if there's a future with Melissa, it has to happen now or it's not going to happen and we shouldn't be playing around. We shouldn't be doing this. And I talked to Peter about it and I was just like, yeah, I just decided, I was like, okay, I want to try the whole thing with her. I'd never lived with a girl. I'd never lived with a partner. And I called her that night after I got done meeting with Peter and I said, hey, and this was very scary for me to do because she could have said no, and I didn't know where she was really at with it. I didn't know what was really going on, but I was like, screw the Thailand. Let's get you here to Atlanta. Let's move in together. Let's have a family. Let's actually do this. Cause she's had her son, Eli, up until that point. I've known Eli ever since he was, this big on her bed at her old house. And she agreed, and she put in her notice at the Humane Society she was working at in Portland, and she ended her rent and started packing and planning, and I flew to Portland, and I can't say I helped pack. I showed up just in time to drive. By the way, I'm actively packing up this house. I'm doing way better than I've ever done in my entire life, you guys. Like, I did like all the boxes. I got them all transported. My brother helped. Melissa helped. Yesterday was crazy. I'm exhausted. Wait, maybe I don't think I helped too much yesterday. But 2 days ago, I was like, what can I do for help? Progress, baby steps. I feel like I'm getting better. She'd know more than me, but yeah, I showed up just to drive, really, and I drove us back. We drove down the coast of California and then across the desert. We went through the what's the hottest place on earth in Arizona? That dry desert place. It's like 180 degrees or whatever. Dead Valley, which was really cool. Went through Vegas. She does not like Vegas. I like Vegas. I just like the scenery. I like the sprawling city, and I like thinking of Fallout, New Vegas, while we drive through. And then we continued on, and we moved into this house. And we've been here for 5 years. It's been wild. The first 2 years of it, this is going way longer than I thought, and I've got to go to work. So I don't know how much more I can really... Might have to put a pin on it and do a continuation, but yeah, we moved into the house here, and there's a lot of story here. She encouraged me to be a stay-at-home dad, and I agreed. So the first year and a half of our relationship here, I stopped work. I was working when we got here. We were staying in an Airbnb for like 3 weeks. And then Melissa found a job, and she makes way more money than I do. So once she got stable income, I went ahead and stopped working and became a stay-at-home dad. And I kid you not, gentlemen, mostly gentlemen and women, I spent a year and a half playing EverQuest. Pretty much. I mean, I took care of Eli, got him to school, got him on the bus. Did my best to tidy up the house, but I mean, I got to live another dream. Like, talk about some of the best times ever. It was getting to know Eli, learning his temperament, wiping butts, taking care of showers, dad duty, like really getting to know him. And then when he was at school, it was like World of Warcraft, EverQuest, Dark Age of Camelot. I had a computer for the first time in a decade. So all like Final Fantasy 14, I had all these realms to explore, and it was like so awesome. I got to raid with the Faceless. I did some podcasts with the guys that I met in our guild, and just had an amazing time. And it eventually became completely unsustainable. And I think that's where I'll pick up with the next one, because we ended up getting separated, me and Melissa. And so that's where we'll pick up when we come back. Hopefully I can do it before we leave this house, but I may continue it in the new house if I can find the time to continue the story. There was some stuff I missed in that, and what I just described. There's a great story about we were at the Grand Canyon during the move. During the move from Portland to here, we went to the Grand Canyon, and there was a monk there, and I had a Kundalini type experience. I can talk about that. The monk did some shit. And it's not in a I guess I'll just tell the story real quick. Guy was there. He had the Bhagavad Gita and all these assorted Hindu texts, orange sannyasin robe. And Melissa's like, oh, what's that? Walks over to the table. I knew what it was because I'm hip to all that stuff. And I'm just like, this is, yeah, this is great. Go talk to him. I didn't feel called or need to talk to him at all. Melissa scurries, Eli starts running away, and Melissa runs from the guy as he's handing her the Bhagavad Gita, saying, you can have this and just keep it. And she's like, thank you so much, as she's chasing Eli and running away. And I'm standing there with the sannyasin, and I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at his table of stuff, and I look at him and I say, hey, this, what you're doing, what this is the most important thing to me. It's the most important thing in my life. What we're talking about here. And he looked me dead in the eyes and he goes, yeah, but, that's great. But, I'm a sannyasin. I chose to lead this life, but you have a family. And he motioned me to go with Melissa and Eli. And I was like, it just like shocked me. That was his response. And I started walking away. And I'm walking down this path towards the edge of the Grand Canyon where people can overlook and see it. And this is the weirdest thing. It's this chill of energy started at the bottom of my spine and then grew up through the back and expanded through the top of my head. I lost all sense of time and space. I saw the void or the nothingness and the beingness in which and through which all material phenomena was dancing itself as blinks of light. And I was just in a state of effacement. My body is walking itself towards the edge of the Grand Canyon. Melissa and Eli are smiling. They're happy. I see the vista unfolding in front of me of the Grand Canyon. And it was like it meant nothing to me. It was like seeing one of the most beautiful things and then recognizing that it's no difference. There's no difference between that and this pen. Everything was all the appearances in consciousness, even the beauty of the vista of the Grand Canyon was meaningless. It wasn't a bad feeling, but it was like, because I had something was going on in my body that was just shocked me, my eyes open. And we end up going back to the car. We get in the car. It's me, Eli, and her and our three dogs. I was going to say her three dogs, but I guess they were ours. At that time, I would have said her three dogs. And we're getting in the car. It's like tight compartment, all this stimulation, all these entities breathing for my attention. And I was just like, I need to go back to the monk. I need to get back to the monk right now. Like everything in my body was like, get the fuck out of this car. Go talk to the monk. Just humble yourself before him and join him in his van for the next place he goes to talk about the Bhagavad Gita. Just go with him. And it was so funny because that's one of the moments I think about from time to time of how active my mind is at resisting what's best for it. My mind actively resists what's best for me. And when I say me, this body, mind, this person who I hope can act as some form of useful agent in the world, my mind is actively attempting to deter that from occurring. So being uncomfortable, being in that car, realizing my fate was sealed, and even the monk had said, your path is with your family, that really, his statement is what held me into that car. I was like, well, he told me this is what I'm supposed to do. And this is where I am right now. And I've just got to trust that wherever I'm at, I didn't know this conceptually. I just knew I was panicking inside and it was extremely uncomfortable and I just needed to bear with it. And I don't know why. Anyway, and then we continued the trip, and then we get back here, and I'll continue the story on the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me for this long. Thanks for being along for this journey. I don't know how often I'm going to be able to do videos like this. I want to try to keep doing them. It's so busy right now with my work and with the move. I'm having to pick up more responsibilities at work. My morning times are spent on QuickBooks and finance stuff and plannings and strategies and a bunch of fancy words to make it sound like I'm important. And then I go do manual labor. So, and then also with Eli, getting him to the bus in the mornings, just a whole bunch of shit. So I hopefully want to get on here and share some more stories. And I really appreciate y'all who've been hanging out up until this point. We're not doing the live stream anymore. This is just kind of bookkeeping stuff. There's going to be no more Friday Effing the Ineffable. Me and Reed are talking on the phone regularly. We're BFFs. We just don't, the show just didn't work for now or ever probably. I don't know. Both him and I are we get in our own ways in such different ways that like we're both agents of, we both have our issues. That's really the main thing. We just don't know how to work with people. I'm trying to learn how to work with people. Maybe I just don't know how to work with my friends. I don't know, but no more show. And hopefully, I'll find some time sooner rather than later to continue this story, because we got to go through the separation between me and Melissa and what happened near the end of my excursion as a member of Faceless and World of Warcraft and EverQuest. And yeah. So thanks for hanging. Thanks for being along for this journey so far. And I will see you on the next one. As the words of Bill S. Preston and Ted Theodore Logan say, the Wild Stallions. By the way, the new Rocky movie coming out, the making of Rocky, I think it's coming out in November. It's going to be awesome. If y'all don't know the true story of how Rocky got made with Sylvester Stallone, it's one of the most inspiring, epic stories ever. And they're making a movie about the making of Rocky. And so I highly recommend checking out that trailer and just read the Wikipedia, like listen, figure out, like go look up how Rocky got made. It's incredible. So yeah, stay excellent, and we'll see you on the next one.
Your essential self is the foundation of the universe. Just as the waves are continuous with the ocean, your body is continuous with the total energy system of the cosmos.
Yeah. Sometime, wanna run away sometime. Oh, hey, I wanna run away sometime. Wanna run away sometime. I dream of honesty and a reason to rhyme. I dream of purpose and a meaning and a feeling sublime. I dream of past particle progression, no need to mention. I dream of me and you, giving it up for our ascension. Like, I dream of the world, I dream of health. I dream of my society with a pocket full of wealth, no need for stealth. And then I living it, bending it, giving it, ripping it, bringing it back. Like, in my past life, am I mind right? Am I living in truth? Am I all right? Like, I think that I can see, but I don't know. I think that we've been climbing so long, never forgot to glow. I think that we've been seeing ourselves so much to show. I think that we've been living and giving around, we're bound to blow. Like, I don't really know, but I wanna run away sometime. I don't really know. I don't really know, but I wanna run away sometime.
Life as we experience it's a big act. And that behind this big act is the player. And the player is you.
Gripping the grain, I grab the mic and I rock it. This dream isn't stopping. These people talking fame and a profit. I'm talking numbers, screaming from the crowd like a rocket. Emotion pouring from the hearts like when my idols would drop it. I think I made it. Happy belated, I have waited. I have struggled through the nights. I've wanted to die like I'm jaded. I used to hate it. Man, I've been searching for my face. I was faded. Never thought I'd see the day. I'm shaking my hand, I'm elated. It's all been stated. Wasn't about us being doubted or clouded or anything. All these other people I'm proud of. It's about the love for the craft and the outcome of people following their dreams, hoping you discover yours when you think you don't have one. That was Cuddy, that was Ye, that was Logic, that was Drake, Cold Shady, Dr. Dre. They were there when I would break, saying pick up the pieces and you'll be great. Hoping one day I could be one to share in the fate. Like I see a kid after a show with tears in his eyes. He said your music saved my life when I wanted to die. I put my hand up on his shoulder, man, this is the dream, because I finally met myself and my idols for me. I wanna run away sometime. Wanna run away sometime. Oh, I wanna run away sometime. Wanna run away sometime.
Thank y'all so much, man. Y'all are fucking awesome, dude.